Film Club.
Heads for Grand Budapest Hotel, tails for Hunt for the Wilder People. You keep that to yourself. Thank you very much for joining us in an episode of Film Club. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's the flippin' Andy Knowlton.
Flipping hell.
Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some of cinema's best, not always decided by coin toss, but sometimes. And we come back here to talk it out. Andy, this week, Heat. Heat. It was the heat of the moment, telling me what my heart meant. It was the heat of the moment.
You're unbearable. So Heat is a film with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And also, what's his name as well? Val Kilmer. A little bit, if you recognise Val Kilmer in it.
He's Batman.
Yep. So two main gaffers, obviously De Niro and Pacino. And it's essentially about a detective, Pacino, versus a criminal mastermind, De Niro. It starts the film like De Niro does his heist, kills a couple of people, and
Unintentionally.
Yeah, true, unintentionally. Pacino's like trying to find him. He kind of discovers who he is, tries to set him up, doesn't really work. And then as it evolves more down, they actually meet up. A lovely coffee scene, which me and you have seen before, but complete out of context. So I completely didn't know what the crack was. So it was actually quite good. Actually watching that again. Anyway, and then it's a case of like who outsmarts the other, and
it's a little bit like the symbiotic nature as well between
very
like
much so
the law and the criminals.
Yep, which is which is kind of like referenced in the coffee scene. What did you think?
So, He is a film which everyone talks up quite a lot about being one of the best crime films ever. In fact, we literally just Googled like best crime films ever. The first thing that comes up is Heat.
Yep.
With that in mind, I was a little let down.
I wouldn't say let down is the wrong thing, but it wasn't put on the pedestal that I thought it was. It was Heat like this, and I enjoyed it. But I thought, all right, it's not the film that I thought it would be.
I think maybe it's a film that's had more relevance in terms of its cultural impact and its additions to cinema than it has anything else.
Yes, I think we forget about when we go to like one of the older kind of films, we forget just about the kind of legacy it's had, which like helps it further down the line. You know, back then it might not be one of the best crime films, or like 2 years after. But if you think about 10 years after, 20 years after sort of thing, one, it's influenced all these other kind of like crime films. You think of something like The Town with Ben Affleck, or you think of something like... I
think this is kind of the other way around though. I think at the time it was the best crime film ever. But like as time's gone on, its influence is important, but like it doesn't stand up so much. Because this feels very of the time. It feels quite 90s in lots of ways. I was talking to somebody earlier about this.
I don't think it dates too well. I think it's, considering how old it is, I think it's dated quite well.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean in terms of like its aesthetic design and cultural references. I mean in terms of its technique. Probably the best example I can point to for this is its music, its sound design. I think its music is too relentless.
Okay.
Like there's plenty of scenes where I wanted them to just back off on the music.
Okay.
And it feels like it's always there. It's a little bit intense. And that was the thing that happened quite a lot in these sort of like in the 90s to help dramatize a film a lot.
Yep.
Now I haven't seen a great deal of Michael Mann's films yet.
Is this Michael Mann?
This is Michael Mann. This is obviously one of the films he's known for. Crime was kind of his thing. It's his genre. Other than that, he's kind of known for things like The Last of the Mohicans.
He did Collateral with Tom Cruise. That was actually all right.
So I can't tell you if that's like his style or if it's a product of the time. A lot of the scenes where it was like some of the lighting choices. I mean, it's a beautiful looking film, but sometimes when they try and dramatize something, they go a little bit too far. I think to dramatize it.
See, I thought it was a very dark film.
Yeah,
in most parts, and I quite enjoyed that about it. The case where they try and catch him doing a heist for the first time, De Niro stands in, amazing by the way, he stands in the corner.
Yeah,
how he just like goes invisible. And
I love that.
And they have a thermal camera on the bottom left.
Such a subtle usage of lighting to tell the narrative.
It was really good, and obviously susses him out, and I thought that whole probably my favourite scene in the film. And I thought it really works really well. It's like you said, clever use of cinematography, clever use of set
light.
Light.
The whole aesthetic design of it's wonderful. Yeah. And to have that moment where like is it that watching on two different types of cameras out, night vision and
Yes.
thermal?
Yeah.
And where his head whips around
Yep.
and stares him straight
That's
in the
what I mean,
eyes.
yeah.
And then
Fantastic.
they cut the other camera where like he suddenly looks like almost demonic because he's staring him down. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's great for that. So I don't really notice those parts, but fair enough, Andy. For me, I felt like it's a long film. It's a long film.
It's a very long film.
And it didn't feel as long as I thought it would be when I said it. I sent her a text saying, "Oh, it's nearly 3 hours." But I felt the pacing throughout was good, but at the start it dragged on a little bit.
Yeah, I can get on board with that because actually at the start they're doing a little bit of setting up quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's tons like little different characters and plot threads going on all the time, and the film juggles that wonderfully.
Yes.
But you're right, at the beginning they've got to set all that up so you can get, I think, 20 minutes in, and then we get introduced to the guy who's not on bail, on parole, and he goes and gets the job.
Yeah.
I think that's about 20 minutes into the film
It's
you
a
get
long,
introduced
long
to him.
time, yeah.
But then, by the end...
But then it's so long since you're reintroduced to him that you kind of like forget a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you come back, oh shit, it's that guy. Yeah, I remember that scene.
Yeah, so I think while they do balance everything quite well, and I thought it's a 2.5 hour film, right?
Just over
2.5 hours. I thought actually it used its pacing, like its run length, quite well.
Yeah,
but I agree.
It
I think given that it's got
did.
so much going on,
Yeah,
it's never boring, but it could do with a little bit of a trim back.
I think like the last 70% of it, which is actually quite a lot of the film, or like 65%, 60%. You are like this, going like this. I just felt myself at the start was like struggling a bit. I was like, all right, who's that? Or it's like watching Game of Thrones, what characters and stuff like that. And I was just thinking there when we were talking about, I was thinking about the depth of each character. You're absolutely right. The depth of each character is amazing. There's a great scene where he's on about, do you really want to come on board for this last heist? I know you couldn't do it. I know you've got the cash. You don't need to do it. And like this. And he's a bit like, He goes, I'm in here for the fun. The guy ends up dying.
There's a moment where like this was going on. The building characters, and I was starting to like enjoy these characters and like them, and like kind of I can see their family lives and stuff going on, and like they became an interesting dynamic group. And suddenly it hit me, and I'm like, "Fuck, they're gonna die."
That age-old technique of growing attachment. Oh shit!
They are absolutely they are not surviving this film.
The Josh Whedon before Josh Whedon.
Whedon.
So
I think this film is held up though mostly by two phenomenal performances.
Yeah, and you can't really go on crime. You can't really go on that kind of film without Pacino, without De Niro. They always play like that, the bad role or good role. I know Pacino played one begins with S or something of a famous policeman. I don't know. I'm sure you'll get the name here and pop it up and piss at me. But my point is, they always have like intermingling kind of roles of like some players that baddie, some players like the good guy and all this. And I'm not gonna lie, I went to this film thinking Pacino was the bad guy and De Niro was a good guy. Completely turned around, I was like, all right, no, that's really cool. But I quite like De Niro's character a bit more in the character, not the acting, a bit more than Pacino's. I mean, like with Pacino's character, he's like obviously he's got so many flaws. You look at his family life, he obviously puts work before that. He's always getting angry at people around him. He's like raises his voice, and it's just like he's a very angsty kind of character. Whereas De Niro is he's despite the fact that he does end up killing people towards the end, he's very calm, chilled. He's very caring for the people around him.
Pacino is the mean good guy, but De Niro is the nice bad guy.
Perfectly summarized, thank you. And it works so well. You're on about like the very start of this episode about the symbiosis between the two characters. You know, they look at the coffee scene like this, or you look at the end scene where he shakes his hand. I mean, fair enough, he just look away.
Yeah.
But the coffee scene where he's like, you know, like they're having mutual respect for one another, and they like kind of open up to each other. And that's so good. It's such a great scene.
Worth mentioning, that's the first time Pacino and De Niro were on screen together.
No, it's not. Oh, do you know why? Yeah. That's why.
So I know they've obviously got their roles in The Godfather.
Yeah.
But to the nature of those roles, they were never actually involved with
That's
one
awesome.
another.
That's
which meant
work.
that for this is the first time they were in the
everyone's
same
at
scene.
the time going, oh my god, please let them have a film together. That actually makes so much more sense why it's so big up.
And they carry a lot of this film on their shoulders.
Absolutely.
And it's because of their performances, because of some of their relationships, because of their arcs as well as characters.
Yes.
That keeps you engaged, because it's so difficult to tell this like city spanning story that you've got to ground it in these two characters.
I was shocked at that scene with Natalie Portman. At the very start when she's in, I was a bit, Natalie Portman's in this, didn't realise.
Which one?
The bathtub scene.
Oh, the bathtub, yeah.
That was like, I was like chilling out there watching this film, that camera went, whoa, like this. Proper, like, it came so, like, out the blue, just didn't know that I'd come across. I didn't even think anything of that.
It's a real credit to this film's like visceral nature and its willingness to
very
go.
gritty film.
Yeah, it's willingness to go somewhere where other films wouldn't. I think that was its big impact here. Where I think if we're going to talk about this film as something that had an impact and influenced other things going forward, I think one, it's its ability to balance an ensemble cast with this larger narrative that does almost like span the entire city. And then the second one has to be its sort of unshaking nature.
It's very violent.
I mean, it wasn't willing to turn away from certain moments, and also
like shooting at civilians and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like
that was when I was like, I'm surprised they put that in here.
I think a lot of that is built out of their intention of not going too cliche, because this film often it walks the line of cliche, but always steps on the right side of it. Like every time you think it's just going to fall into cliches, it steps on the right side of that line.
Like a great moment was when the guy who wrote about is part of the crew who said, "Oh, I'm in this for the fun." He picks up a kid who uses a human shield, and Pacino's character, kind of like
because he's got a kid as well. It's so shocking.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes for it. He's even when the kid's like facing that, the majority of the body is the kid. He still goes for the shot, and I was like, he's not going to go for the fucking shot. He's going to go, I can't do it. And he went for the what? Like it was great. Yeah, it was really. It was. I'm realizing more and more as we do this review that I actually liked it an awful lot more.
I think the thing with this film is it's thoroughly enjoyable. It's really entertaining. It's quite engrossing in lots of ways. I think it was just maybe talked up a bit too much.
Yeah.
I think
if we went into this without that kind of like big up and stuff like that, like we were on about last week, and said, I've been watching that for ages and all this.
Yeah.
People saying, have you seen Heat? I think it would have been a lot better than it was, but either way, I enjoyed it.
It definitely, don't get me wrong. So I do think it does have this whiff of sort of 90s-ness about it. Do you think it's got a little bit of, and not just because of Natalie Portman, a little bit of Leon the Professional about it?
Yeah.
It's that same era. I'm pretty sure they came out like within a year of each other.
Yes, I think.
And
2 years or something.
It's got a similar sort of vibe.
1 year.
Like I can see a lot of what's he called?
Gary
Oldman. I can see a lot of Gary Oldman in Al Pacino.
I was just about to say in Pacino, weirdly, but like yeah.
So anyway, there is Heat. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of Heat, or you can hit us up on Twitter as always. But next week we'll be back once again. We're going to take a look at Andy. What was the result on the coin flip?
Tails never fails, and it is Hunt for the Wilder People.
So until then, get watching.
I can't wait for this. We're going to be watching together as well.
I'm not watching anything with you.
Friends.